welcome to the discussion.
Thank you so much, Abhay.
So, Anu, currently this COVID crisis is affecting different industries in a different way. It has negatively affected aviation industry and event management industry and so on. So, how this COVID crisis is affecting biotech or genomic industry?
So I think it is in a sense a great opportunity for life sciences industries to become the savior for this world. For many years, I think life an aiding sort of industry. It was considered to be the sunrise industry, where it was taking a long time for the sun to rise. I think in some ways we have sort of come to a point where we realize the value of biotech. And the value of biotech, not just in the sense of being a business, but biotech as in an industry that actually can help in saving lives and many other things. So I think this is a great opportunity for us, especially in India, to build, given that a lot of the supply chains have closed down. We are no longer able to just source the cheapest from the world, and I think this is the time where every country is looking to build that capability. And I think in India, this will be a great opportunity to build capabilities in genomics, capabilities in diagnostics, manufacturing, as well as in vaccine, not just manufacturing, but also in actually coming up with newer vaccines. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity. Yes, there are obviously a lot of short-term challenges that all of us are facing, and just like every other industry, I think many of us do have that challenge also. Even we have that, because you can't ship out samples and all that. But at the same time, I think this will be something, at least for MapMyGenome, in many ways, we have always been talking about why prevention is a cure rather than waiting for a cure. In many ways, we're seeing that when you look at the impact of COVID, we find that if you have a strong immune system, that you are able to manage that much better than otherwise. So in many ways, it justifies what we do at the core of what we do at MapMyGenome. But it's also a great time, I think, what the COVID crisis has done is to also enable a lot of collaborations that earlier were sort of not happening for multiple reasons, right? And so, for instance, I think I've been working with both academia as well as governments in a very collaborative and a very, it's a very nice learning experience for everybody. So you work with people, it sort of helps in building and adding perspectives from different parts. And it's not just about competing for something, but it's about being able to find a solution. So for instance, I think coming up with how do we test effectively? Right?
So you today wrote an article also in Economic Times about how one should. So would you like to elaborate on that?
Certainly. So I think this was an example of where I've been working with two professors, one from University of Chicago, Anup Malani, as well as Manoj Mohanan from Duke. And what we've been doing is to be able to help and advising some of the state governments in using using their resources effectively to understand how to test their population, but also to be able to find out how they can actually effectively come out of these lockdowns without having to, spend too much money, but being able to come out, because ultimately it's a fine balance between managing the economy as well as keeping it under lockdown, right? So there's a value in lockdown, but there is also you don't want people to die of hunger versus not being affected by the virus. So I think it is very imperative to be able to come up with an effective strategy. So the way we came out with this was to be able to say, can we put together not just the confirmatory tests like RT-PCR, but to be able to pull in other forms of testing, because some tests provide different kinds of information as opposed to the others, and put all of that together to create the most effective way of sampling. And we not just do it as randomly, but to do it in a way that statistically makes sense, that you can combine it with a very smart sampling method that you use, and you're able to combine that. So I think that's the sort of advice that you can give to people to be able to do that. Now, I think in the past, having run two businesses for the last 20 years, I don't think that was necessarily, the topmost thing on my mind. I think you're constantly thinking about, there are things about how to come up with new products and revenues and various other things. But now I think it is it is great because you can use some of that knowledge, but also get perspectives from people that you never could before. And you start to understand challenges, you start to understand constraints from different parts of the ecosystem. And I think if we can all start to understand a little bit for each other's problems, I think we might be able to solve and create a better world, is what I think.
Anu, you, as you rightly said, you have already done two businesses. You started your first business in 2000 when I think you were 27, 20 or 8 years old. And then you actually end up becoming serial entrepreneur. So, but when you started your first business, there was no buzz of startup at that time. Currently, there is a lot of buzz around startups, and large number of youngsters are moving in doing their startups. So, do you feel that, or do you see any change in the culture, in ease of doing business? So, if you compare 2000 and current situation.
So yes, absolutely. I think there is a difference. I think a lot more people understand what a startup means. I think it's also far easier to access capital. But at the same time, I think when you consider an entrepreneur, I think an entrepreneur is someone who goes against, what is expected of them. And I think therefore, by definition, I think starting in 2000 was something that you instinctively we did as something that was. What you strongly believe in, right? So I think that part of what we believe strongly in, I think that part of entrepreneurship was always there. But I think now it helps tremendously because your ecosystem has developed much better than it was in 2000. So for instance, I think today if you want to look for advisors, if you want to look for mentors, or you want to look for some information, you'll be able to get that anywhere. You can, I think most of us are parts of several WhatsApp groups that if you're looking for something, you're looking for someone in terms of whether it is HR advice, whether it's in terms of any other thing, the possibility of reaching someone and getting that information is so much faster as opposed to earlier. The other thing also is that in the last 20 years, I think a lot of successful entrepreneurs are giving back to the society in many ways. And they have become the VCs. And I think that has changed a lot, especially on the angel investing front. I think India still has a way off to go because as we develop this, I think there needs to be, the ecosystem needs to be not so, needs to have the right motivations to be able to do that, both from people who invest in such startups, but second also in terms of the startups that want to make sure that they can make an impact. So I think that has to change.
But Anu, if you really look at investments which are currently happening, the major unicorn investments which are happening are in e-commerce businesses or logistics kind of companies. Are really investors ready to invest in something like biotech, genomics, where the cycle is really big, investment cycle?
I think now they will start doing that. I think people have started to understand the value of it. But you're right. I think that has been a big challenge in what we saw in the past, because it was always easier to invest in something that people could sort of understand. And genomics was something that most people had a hard time understanding. I remember in 2005-06, when we were doing our first round of investment, we had to go through rounds of explaining what is a DNA and an RNA. I think today almost everybody, thanks to COVID, knows what RT-PCR is. People know what, everybody is a scientist. So I think it has raised the level of understanding by many folds. So I think it's a good time. People understand the challenges. I think they also understand the importance. And we realize, for instance, that a lot of times the reason why somebody like the US is able to come up with quicker cures or something is because they had investments in those areas without necessarily having a crisis. And I think that's why we need to make sure that this can be a good reminder for all of us to be able to say that we need to develop this. And this is not just an industry that you look at it from a revenue perspective, but it's also an industry that you cannot do without, right? And I think that will sort of spur a lot of not just investments in it, but also will spur a lot of innovations. I think we started seeing that already. We saw that a lot of people were coming in, and everybody had ideas on how to make a ventilator, how to make a mask, how to do everything else. But the challenge, of course, is that healthcare is not as simple, right? You can't just, in a month come up with everything. You might come up with some good guidelines or good ideas, but I think to make it successful needs a lot of time and energy, and because you are ultimately you are impacting human life. So I think that's a lesson that maybe many investors will start to understand, because when there is no human life or when there is a threat to existence, I think that can impact every industry. So you can, if you are no longer there, then there is no point in having anything else around you. So I think that's the lesson that we've all learned, and I expect to see a lot more investments in this area following this soon as as soon as things get to some sort of a normal.
So, Anu, in post-COVID world, which kind of startups you think are going to be more relevant? Which kind of ideas are going to be more relevant? From a biotech angle, maybe from genomic angle also.
So I think certainly we will start seeing that there will be a lot more emphasis on homemade devices